Nobody likes direct confrontation. A lot of people believe that, well, I don't really like confrontation. That's true, but it's not true that anybody is unique in their dislike of confrontation. Nobody likes confrontation. We didn't evolve to be confrontational species, confrontational animals, confrontational primates on a one-on-one level. We are designed to be confrontational, but within a group setting. My group versus your group, my team versus your team. And even if you're having a one-on-one conversation where you're trying to throw down the law of your group's beliefs versus their group's beliefs, you have this imaginary team that's behind you. But when you're talking to somebody and it's just your idea versus their idea, the confrontation under this context is very, very uncomfortable. And so humans over the years have evolved a whole lot of ways to avoid these direct confrontations. For example, in a lot of cultures that have built-in linguistic verb conjugations that are only used in polite situations, these evolved as a defense from a mismatch between the upper classes and the lower classes. The theory is that way back in history, if the upper classes could legally kill a lower class person because of some kind of perceived slight or offense or impolite behavior, the upper class person could kill the lower class person without worrying about the consequences. So as a result, to protect themselves, the lower class people over the ages evolved a polite verb conjugation to use whenever they're in these tense situations to make sure they don't unavoided or unexpectedly offend somebody that might kill them. And so this is just one way that humans have developed the ability to avoid confrontation. There's also ways in regular conversations where we use metaphors. This is one of the main reasons, according to leading psychologists, that we use metaphors. We don't just use metaphors to persuade people. We don't just use metaphors to entertain people with our stories. We unconsciously and naturally use metaphors to not have that direct confrontational energy. We kind of take the idea we want to get out of our brain and into their brain, and we put it through this metaphorical language pattern so we can both save face. But the avoidance of direct confrontation is one of the reasons that sales can be so hard for many, many people. You can make a lot of money in sales. If you want to make a lot of money and you don't have an advanced STEM degree, you don't have advanced technical skills, but you still want to make a lot of money, sales can be the way to go. But it requires that you be able to persuade people, and this requires that you and the other person, you tell them what to do and they do it. Now, how you do this depends on the sales technology. It depends on the personality. But this is where people run into trouble with sales, is they can give a fantastic presentation. They can know the product inside out. They can elicit the criteria from the customer like an absolute boss. But when it comes to closing the customer, they kind of chicken out because they don't like to say, I think you should do this. But there's a very, very easy way to sidestep this seemingly necessary confrontational energy. And that's to use a kind of a presuppositional description of the customer and the product. The basic idea is you talk to the customer. You elicit their criteria. You elicit their desire map. You elicit their agency map. You elicit their ego map. You find out about their past decisions to put them in a really good decision-making mood. And you listen carefully in these idea spheres of the words and phrases that they use to describe their ideal product, their ideal experience. And these surface-level phrases, these trance phrases, represent deep emotional energy inside of them. And so if you remember these trance phrases, you can use these trance phrases inside linguistic presuppositions and connect them to your product. And you don't have to say, well, Mr. Customer, if you did XYZ, you will get ABC. Why don't you buy this product right now? That's very, very confrontational, but you can put it off to the side and say, well, Mr. Customer, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but a lot of people have found, now you're putting this idea through all these mysterious other people, a lot of people have found that when you do XYZ, you get ABC. You still say you do XYZ, you get ABC, but it's not the direct confrontational you. It's the off to the side you that's kind of ambiguous, and it's not really about them. And so they can imagine themselves in this kind of frame of of reference when you're talking about the benefits they get if they buy your product or follow your advice or do whatever you want through these linguistic presuppositions that you kind of put off to the side. And this is one of the fantastic elements of the persuasion sequence. Not only will you learn how to build out their desire maps, but the closing part is the easiest part. Because for most salespeople, closing is the most difficult part. But for the persuasion sequence, people that have used the persuasion sequence, people that have made the decision to master the persuasion sequence, when they do this off to the side close, they find that their sales almost double overnight with a lot less effort, and there's no energy, there's no awkward closing energy. This is why a lot of introverts are finding it very easy to make a ton of money in sales using the persuasion sequence, particularly the off to the side closing technique, to take their desires, connect their desires with your product or service, your idea, inside of a linguistic presupposition and put it through the kind of ambiguous you that you can talk about. This is similar to the blurred reality strategy in conversational hypnosis, the blurred reality strategy and the quotes pattern. But this is just one of the ways a lot of people are learning how to use the persuasion sequence. Now, I don't know about you. I have no idea who you are. I just know that you have some ideas in your brain that you'd like to achieve. Maybe you'd like to sell a lot of stuff to a lot of people and make a ton of money. Maybe you'd like to become so incredibly seductive, women fall in love when they see you. Maybe you'd like to be such a charismatic conversationalist that you can walk up to any stranger anytime and start a conversation and make them feel fantastic. Whatever you want to do, you can do it through the persuasion sequence. That's what a lot of people have found. So if you'd like to learn the persuasion sequence, check out the links below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.